Good morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 101. What are we talking about today? NFL's season schedule came out, so we can talk about a little bit about that. Also, there's a news coming around in the Chicago locker room that's kind of adding a little controversy. Other sports happening this weekend. There is other sports that happen. We have the PGA Championship. We'll talk about that. Cubs and White Sox, as that's a big rival up in here in the Chicago area. And then the Cover 2 Cook correspondents will give you what is happening in the NBA and NHL playoffs. So let's get it started.
Yeah. I was going to do a vertical jump there. Thank you, Sox.
Travel been to Indiana, and did Cover 2 Cook get you a good hotel?
Indiana? No, I'm in Louisiana. I'm here for Mardi Gras.
I know that this might be hard, but I don't know how much you remember Friday night since we left you damn near when you fell asleep.
I got my belly full, man. I was like, I warm covers and warm. I was like, I could go to sleep right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jack Dorsey.
Final answer?
Yes.
Eh.
All right.
This is going to be a long fucking day.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 101. Right off the bat, let's talk about it. The NFL season schedule came out. What is some of those games that you're got to mark on your calendar to definitely watch, Mr. Tim Cook?
I don't know if it's just a much watch. The first game. I mean, Dallas. Now we talked about that before.
Yep.
The first game of the season. Baltimore goes to Buffalo.
Yep.
Big game after in the divisional round. I think Baltimore has 5 of the first 6 games are against playoff teams. I think they have the hardest schedule in the first 6 games. I think Dallas, they better get out to a good start because their last 6 games are against playoff. Their last 6 weeks are against playoff teams that played in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
So they better get out to a hot start. And if they don't, them last 6 games could be a very tumultuous first season for the coach, Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think when you look at week 1 and 2, it comes off to fast starts. It also is some of these teams that made big decisions. You know, you said week 1, Baltimore and Bills. I think that's obviously playoffs. Steelers and Jets. So if Aaron Rodgers does go with the Steelers, he's playing against the Jets that said they no longer want him. While on the other side of that, Justin Fields is playing against the Steelers, who said, we benched you to go to Russell Wilson. I think week 2, you see the matchup of the Super Bowl again. It's the Chiefs and the Eagles going at it. I think there was another game week 2. It's a hot start. The thing that I laugh about the most, though, is every team comes in and they go, okay, we're gonna see who we're gonna play. You don't even know what these teams will look like.
Yeah.
So when teams are like, well, you're gonna go 11-6. This is only for hot takes of people like us that go on there and say, well, the Chiefs are only going to go 11-6. How do you know that shit?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of these things where it's like, I get on here and watch Sports Center and I'm like, shut the hell up. And then we start talking about it. Now, with that being said, the hardest strength of schedule based on last year's results is the Giants, and the easiest is the 49ers, which the 49ers last year had the hardest schedule. They get the easiest this year. What did you think about those two teams getting those schedules?
Well, that does help the 49ers a little bit because they're going to need all the help they can get. I mean, they lost Deebo Samuel. They lost some key players. Their linebacking crew, that defense is going to be different. You know, that whole offense, McCaffrey's not going to be there, or is it? He'll still be out by the time they start seeing.
Who knows?
Yeah, so, I mean, they're going to need the easiest schedule to get their footing on as far as that. The Giants, they might be picking number 1 next year. They got the hardest schedule. That's tough for Wilson to start out.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I saw a picture of the Giants posted of all the quarterbacks lined up throwing the ball: Jameson, Russell, Jackson Dart, and all of them got shorts on except for Russell Wilson. He's got game pants on. You know, that guy, I can't stand him. It's like, dude, what an ego, whatever. But, it's one of these things where when you look at the schedules, I do laugh because every team gets to come out with their, way to show the schedule, except for the Colts. Colts, don't do it anymore, okay? Because the Colts decided to make a Minecraft one where the first game of the year they play against the Dolphins, And the Dolphins jumping through the water, and it's Tyreek Hill, and the Coast Guard comes up to him. If we didn't just have all last year talking about the police and all that stuff, add to it, they had a couple other ones that were kind of a little questionable. Colts took it down. Every team tries to be funny. Colts, you tried too hard, and this one didn't work out for you. Did you see that?
I did not. I didn't see that one.
Oh, man. It just, and then now that the Colts have apologized, they've taken it down because they didn't even have the rights or enough of the rights to the Minecraft. So they didn't want to get sued. And then also at the same time, they apologized to Tyreek Hill, which he thought it was funny. And I do think it's funny, but it was also one of these things where it's like, just relax.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look. It's a bad optic.
Yeah. Other news in the NFL, a book is coming out about Caleb Williams and his family. In this book, there's talking about Carl, Caleb's dad, stating that Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. He didn't want it there. Caleb mentioned in the book that he was afraid that his dad was worried that he was going to have to dodge bullets more than he was going to have to dodge tacklers. Not a great look. As a person that's, was closer to Chicago area, that is crazy to say before you've even been there. It's just, but one funny thing about this was Caleb asked or told his dad, and it said it's in the book, that he wanted to go play for the Minnesota Vikings. So guess what? We'll take him once he's done in Chicago, because who knows what will happen there. But it's really bad optics. It's also why we were saying now Ben Johnson has to work, because then you're just starting this all over again. You're literally going to recycle this whole situation again, because Caleb Williams is Justin Fields, is I can't think of it. Trubisky. He is all these quarterbacks before with the new head coach, a new system. If it doesn't work, you are doing this all over again in a division where you easily could get the number one pick, because you can lose a lot of games with Minnesota being as good as they are, Green Bay and Detroit. So, what do you think about hearing about that?
Yeah, like you said, it's a bad optic.
Yeah.
I did see that he really didn't want to go there in the first place. Even, he really didn't want to go there. But yeah, I mean, here's another tip too. Johnson is not Caleb's guy. That's not who he picked. So, I mean, he's got to work with what he's got. So if it don't work out, he'll get rid of him pretty fast. I mean, they'll get rid of him pretty fast, because he'll want his guy in there. If he's going to go down, he'll make sure he goes down with his guy, not somebody else's guy.
Well, and that's exactly how it's cycled. Is then the new coach comes in, says, well, I didn't pick this guy. Now I want my guy. That guy has to go through 1 year of it. They say, you're gone. They bring in a new coach. It's just a cycle. I agree it's not great optics. At the same time, you're sitting here like laughing about it because Poles or whatever, the GM made the comment that we're picking you. Like it or not, and so then he was like, I could take this team. Yeah, no shit, because you tried as much as you could to get out of it, and you weren't going to get out of it. This is where I will say this, and I've said it right when we were around the draft time. Going first overall doesn't always mean great.
Right.
Because it does mean you're going to a bad team. Okay? Yeah. Also added to it, it also means that there's a lot of structural problems within that program. The Steelers, they never pick first. And it's always one of these things where everyone's like, well, they have a good structure, and that's why they never pick. They always have a winning record, and blah, blah, blah. Right. Well, sometimes you need that good player to come number 1, number 3, whatever. But at the same time, you have to build a good structure around him. And that's where Ben Johnson has to succeed, because Caleb Williams needs a structure. But he's also one of these quarterbacks that got a lot of good players around him. It's time for you to play well now, too.
Exactly.
What else is happening in sports around this weekend? PGA Championship started today. If you tuned in to ESPN Plus or Paramount, you would have saw that it's very, very Master-like, but it's not as notorious as the Masters, right? You can see a lot more players playing in this. Today, I was watching the morning session. They actually had the top three going at it. Scheffler, or whatever, and then Rory going at it. Right. But the biggest conversation coming out of today was the complaints that there was mud on the ball and it's hard to control the ball and things like this. Y'all haven't played with me. I didn't know you needed a clean ball. Yeah. I'm like, when I heard all this, and they're complaining that it needed to be best spot, or there was a word or phrase they were saying, where even if it hits in the middle of the fairway, they can move it so that they have a better lie. No. I'm not saying I'm old school, but like, come on, you can't have that.
Yep.
What do you think about today's PGA?
Well, and another thing too, Anthony, they got a lot of rain in that and around that golf course in the last. They said they got inches of rain in the last week, so that is making the greens a lot different. And I was watching one. I think it was the leader at the time. He putts and he didn't get up over the lip, and this just went. And then I can't remember who the guy was that teed off, and he just kind of flipped his club, and then you see his club a little bit farther away from him.
Yep.
Like he really flipped it. Yep. But it was a good shot. He went right on the green, but he was disgusted with it. It's like, oh my God. It's just unreal with that. And he was so disgusted. Like he said, he had to go probably 10 yards to go retrieve his driver. It's just like, but it was right on the green. It's like, what are you bitching about? But,
yeah, I think when you look at the PGA Championship, it's not as big as a Masters, so not a green jacket. No. It's things like this. It is a good where if you're sitting in for the weekend, turn it on because it might get you a good nap in you. Otherwise, it's one of these things where if you're a golf lover, this is your weekend. This is your Masters. This is your situation where you started watching it today. I watched it today because I was home from work. Why not? Yeah. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it's not a thing where I'm going to be sitting there being like, okay, who's in the lead? Who am I betting on? Things like that as well. Other sports that are happening this weekend, Cubs and White Sox. Now, growing up in Central Illinois, heart of Illinois, whatever you want to call it, Cubs and Cardinals is always the biggest rival, right? When it comes to baseball. Obviously, you got the Yankees and Boston, but growing up in Central Illinois, Cubs and Cardinals is the rivalry. Well, you come up here to the northern Chicago area, and White Sox and Cubs is a huge rivalry. It's huge. You can't be both fans. You got to be one or the other. And it's funny because when I moved up here, I was always like, well, I root for the White Sox, but they're like our little brother. That is fighting words supposedly around here, okay?
Oh, yeah. Right. I agree with that.
People don't talk like that, okay? Either you're a White Sox fan or you're a Cubs fan. I think you go back to the Pazinski and Barrett fight. Yeah. But, like, otherwise, did you ever really think this is a big rivalry?
Not down here, not down in Central Illinois. It's more Cubs Cardinals.
Yeah.
You got it's more Southern. I can see that being if you're closer to the inner city or in the suburbs. Yeah, I can see it more White Sox and Cubs. But down here, it's Cubs Cardinals. That's always has been since I was young, and it still is today. I mean, the rivalry isn't quite as. I think it's kind of quieted down because I think people kind of get away from baseball sometimes. But it's still a rivalry that more down here. I think you're closer to St. Louis. That's another deal, too. There's a lot of Cardinal fans around in Central Illinois.
Yeah, and I think when Cubs have their struggles as much as they do, maybe they became Cardinals fans. I do laugh because you're a Cardinals fan. I'm a Cubs fan. So there has been a little, a wrath over time. But, like, one thing that, I am surprised is the Brewers and Cubs aren't as much as a rival, right? Yeah. Because of how good the Brewers have been, the Cubs have been. It's always like you would think that it's more of like a fight there. A lot of Cubs fans go to Milwaukee games because it's cheaper tickets. I would go to a Milwaukee game to see the Cubs over go to Chicago. I love seeing the stadium. It's not the Wrigley Field I grew up with anymore. But like Brewers, it's easy in and out. It's just good travel, cheap tickets. Right. But like I'm surprised that's not. I think and I'm gonna say this, and people that might be a big brother, little brother kind of situation because of the market instead of actually the teams. But I have to bring up a story about when me and you went to a Cubs-Cardinal game at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. And I think the Cardinals won, right? I think the Cardinals won this game. And, we had a couple drinks in us. We're getting on the bus back to go to the where we were staying. And when we get on the bus, there's this older gentleman kind of picking on this little kid that's got Cubs stuff on. And he was being nice about the pick on. And I, had a couple drinks in me, decided to say, you better watch yourself. I said, because these Cubs are coming. These Cubs are going to come after this World Series. And then all you guys sitting on this bus, and it was full of Cardinals fans. I said, sitting on this bus are going to sit here and be like, shit, the Cubs came and they got what they wanted. I said, I get it. You guys got all these championships. Good for you. But when the Cubs win it, it changes everything. So you better shut your mouth. As I'm saying all this, I can hear Tim Cook behind me. Hey, relax.
Are you trying to get us killed down here or what?
Yeah, you're like, relax. There's a lot of Cardinals fans on here.
Calm down.
And there's been alcohol involved. But exactly. That's when I think of this rivalry, this is what I think of, right? Yeah. And in that moment, the guy goes, I'll tell you right now, I'll think of you when the Cubs win the World Series. I
Right.
know for a fact that year we went, it was 2015.
Yes.
Because the Cubs went for a run that year, but they didn't win it. And
Right.
then they won it the next year.
And they
And
beat the Cardinals. And they beat the Cardinals in the playoffs up in Chicago.
in 2015.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was one of these things where I was like, he goes, when the Cubs win, I'll think of this conversation. It was like, get ready, it's coming.
Yep.
And add to that, like the rivalry, it's like Cardinals fans won't come to Wrigley, and Cubs fans won't go to Busch Stadium. That's where when I think of rivalry. When you think of this crosstown rivalry, it's one of these things where like Cubs fans will go to White Sox Stadium to watch the game.
Right.
And White Sox fans will go to the Cubs game to watch the game. But when there's absolute hatred, you will not go to that other side because you could be in the bleachers in Wrigley and get a beer poured on you if you're a Cardinals fan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And and I will say this too. One last thing is I remember of all the times growing up where the company you worked for taking all those bus rides to Wrigley Field.
Right.
Whether I'm pissing in a bottle on the way up there to one of them, or it's
Right.
one of these things, and it's like those are the memories I think of Wrigley Field. And then you go to Wrigley Field today, and it's just not the same. The Taco Bell's not there. It's more corporationed. I would say.
It's commercialized.
Yeah. But I was telling Lisa, I was like, this would have been a game that we could have went to. Unfortunately, the White Sox suck. The Cubs are actually playing some decent ball right now. And I will say this. I will watch a baseball game if I'm at a baseball game. I will never watch a baseball game when it's on TV. Too boring for me. But there's something about being at a major league game, eating a hot dog, paying that $17 for a beer, and just enjoying the moment of a baseball game. Because when you got last year, you got the rooftop tickets, and me and Lisa went to the Cubs and White Sox, and the rooftop, it was different because you don't see the game. You're just drinking and eating for free. I can do that shit at home. So, but yes, that is other sports happening this weekend outside of what we got to talk about right now. We got to bring on our Cover 2 Cook correspondents for the NBA updates. What has happened since we talked last Tuesday?
Since we've talked, Cleveland and Indiana. Indiana has won that series 4-1. On Tuesday night, they closed it out with Indiana winning 114-105. Halliburton had 31 and 8. They're going back to the conference finals again for the second straight year.
Yep.
They could be playing possibly the Knicks. They played them last year in the second round. For most of the big, I mean, the Cavs had a big lead in this last game, up by 19. But it just seemed like the Pacers it's just their time.
Yeah.
And they finally just did it. You know, you could tell that Cleveland is just not ready. Cleveland, I think their injuries kind of caught up to them. Mitchell's got a bum ankle. You've got Mobley and Garland that's got injuries as well. I think, Cleveland got within one with 5 minutes to go in that game, and the Pacers took it to them to end up winning. They will now play the winner of the Knicks and Celtics. As we roll into that, Knicks in Boston last night. Now the Knicks lead 3-2 after Game 5. Boston won. This was a really close game. It was tied at half, and then I was watching. And I'm like, and then the Knicks the Celtics just started hitting threes. That White was just kicking it, and then the next thing you know, you've seen Towns on the bench with 5 fouls. This is midway through the third quarter, and Brunson with 4. It's like. It just looked like to me they kind of we're going to go back there, which is a key because they'll play Friday night. And here's the deal: the Knicks, you can't let them get out there to that early lead like they did in Game 3. If you do that, you might just to go 7, and you don't want to go back to Boston. Knicks fans, I know you guys want to make sure you close this out there because if they go back Game 7, all hands on deck, and it's going to be a free for all. So they need to keep the momentum down. The Knicks need to go out and get going good. Denver and OKC, this series is tied 2-2, or now it's 3-2. OKC after the other night they outscored Denver 34-19, and this was actually a close game until the fourth quarter. They end up pulling away. So it just seemed like Jokic doesn't have the same. He's hurt. I know he's hurt. They said it. I don't know if I said in the last podcast. If he takes that sleeve off, his elbow is bad. And in Game 5, Murray had 25 points, 26 points on 27 shots.
Yeah.
Whoa, you can't. You shot 27 times and you can only get 26 points. Not good. So, the series is 3-2 now. Going back to and it's going to be in Denver. So Denver, it's do or die right now. Also Minnesota last night they clinched. They won 4-1 as they beat the Warriors 121-110. They're just, I think that coach inspired. I don't know if it really inspired him, but that Astron after game one, he kind of, and Julius Randle right now, he played for the Knicks last year. He's kind of coming on right now. He's kind of the playoff Nick guy, and you could just tell without Curry, they're just not the same team. Jimmy Buckets is hurt. They're leading the scorer. It was Brandon Bozinski with 28 points and Kuminga with 27. You can just tell he's just not the same player. They need more. They need some inside help. They really do. If they're going to make another run, they just going to need some more help. They just can't do it. So now Minnesota will now face the winner of the OKC Denver game. So it's kind of wait and see right now after all these series.
Yeah. What is the biggest story coming out of that series, the Golden State and Minnesota? Is it Anthony Edwards having another good series, or is it Steph Curry getting hurt?
I think it's Steph Curry getting hurt because still don't think they win, but I think they make it more of a series.
Yeah.
I think if they go at least one more game, maybe they just don't have, and that's what the Lakers found out as well. They don't have any inside presence. They can't with Gobert. They don't have anybody to stop him, and that Gobert had a hell of a night last night too. So him and Randall and all three of them, and Ant-Man, Ant's just doing what he does. I would love to see an OKC, Minnesota. God, that would be SGA against Ant-Man. I think that would be a good one.
That's the series that everyone wants because also
Right.
it's young. It's the young talent. It's the
Right.
young guys going at it. I did see Murray today coming out saying that he is expecting a game 7. And it's like, well, then you guys are going to have to play off your ass. When you think of the Denver's run in this playoff so far, they've won on 3 buzzer beaters.
Yeah.
Come on. Those are 3 games you should have lost.
Yep.
Like, you guys can't wait till the last second to try to win these games. I think even if they win, it's Minnesota's time to go to the finals then. I think OKC gives Minnesota more of a run for their money than Denver does. Because definitely with the injuries and stuff. On the East side, you said with the Knicks. The Knicks have to win it out. But I'll tell you right now, the storyline is not going to be about that game. It's going to be about what celebrity is going to show up for that game. Because you had Cardi B and Stephon Diggs there. You had DeGener and stuff like that. Like all these celebrities are coming out to watch these games because the Knicks are good. And I will say the Knicks and Indiana have a very comparable type of way of game. They want to bruise inside. They want to put it inside. The only team that can compete that way in the West is Denver.
Right.
So if Denver gets out, I think the East has got a way to win this one this year again. So we'll definitely stay tuned.
I think Gobert. I think the inside presence of Gobert if Minnesota's making part of it. You think? I don't think so.
Baby's bottom.
So if OKC wins, it would be the other guy. I can't think of his name. Stein.
No, it would be what's his name? The guy that just came out a couple years ago.
Oh.
For OKC, it's the tall dude that got hurt. But you know what I'm talking about. He's still.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
He's soft, real soft.
Mm.
So I'm just saying the way that both these teams bruise. I don't know if the West. Ant-Man's going to have to really pull it for Minnesota if they get in, and SHG is going to have to really pull it for OKC. Yep. But yes, well, we'll have to see because it kind of seems like a lot of these are going to wrap up this weekend. So even when we come back on Tuesday, it's going to be round 3 that we're talking about, or going into what team's going to go make it to the finals. Other news: NHL playoff updates, kind of similar to the NBA. A lot of 3-1s. On Tuesday night, Dallas took it to 3-1 against the Jets. On last night, Panthers beat the shit out of Maple Leafs, literally and figuratively. Obviously, winning I think it was like 6-1 or 5-1 or some shit like that. I did see the big fight that happened with Marchand and all them. My TV was acting up during it. I swear to God, I could have put my hand through the TV because otherwise, it really wasn't that interesting of a game.
Right.
Panthers just put it on them, and I saw so many people being like, "This is not Toronto hockey." I'm going to tell you right now, this sounds like Toronto hockey. This is just what it happens in the playoffs every year. I'm not surprised you're new to this. Edmonton also sealed the series last night with an OT goal to take down the number 1 Golden Knights. Tonight, you have Carolina looking up to seal the deal with Washington, Dallas looking to seal up the deal with Winnipeg. I will tell you, I kind of said this a while back, that these series it just showed one team kind of like being better than the other. I hope we have better rounds going forward with this. But I will tell you right now, I think we get a Game 7. My hot take was we were not going to have a Game 7.
Right.
I think the Panthers are not going to seal the deal on Friday night against Toronto. They will go back to Toronto for Game 7 on Sunday. Why I say that is because there's way too much noise in Toronto's locker room right now after yesterday's ass whooping. There's no way. Now, if Toronto just lays over and takes it on Friday and Panthers win this, I think that's a coach getting fired. And what I saw from the pre-game, after the Panthers game, was Subar. No, what's his name? Yeah, Suba? No, whatever.
PK Subban?
Yeah. Him saying that this goes to the GM. Everyone, clear house. This is one of these things where they've brought the coaches and they've done all this. I'm not as much of a hockey fan to know all that, who the coaches are. I don't really know. I don't know a single coach right now. Let's be honest. I did see the Blackhawks coach got hired again after all his controversy. So it doesn't sound like they're like doing too much of a background check when they do these coaches. But I did see a lot of them kind of coming out about that. But I think when we look at these series, I think tonight, both series get wrapped up. I think 3 out of the 4 series is wrapped up after tonight. Friday night, Panthers could wrap it up. You might have a weekend of no hockey.
Right.
And that sucks. That absolutely sucks. I mean, because I don't think they'll play back on Sunday if they win. I think it's Monday they start playing again for round 3. That makes me have to watch golf.
Yep.
And I don't want to watch damn golf. All right? I want to watch a real sport. I want to watch where there's some contact and actually booing and stuff like that compared to golf. But maybe I'll actually have to tune in to some basketball.
Yeah. You know what? But basketball might be done if they lose tonight. If Denver loses tonight, the only game is going to be
Friday night.
Friday night, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then they probably won't play until Monday neither. I will push back a little bit on the Toronto one. I don't know if they'd fire the coach and all that stuff, just for the simple fact that they lost their goalie after game 1. That's tough.
Didn't he play last night?
Oh, did he come back? I thought
he played last night.
That Stoll came back last night?
And then got his bricks beat into him.
Well, he's probably because he might still be a little woozy.
He might be seeing 3 pucks out there, and he picked the wrong one 6 times last night.
Right.
Yeah, no, I do see what you're saying, and I don't know enough about hockey. I know in the NFL, a coach loses this bad every year in the playoffs, he's gone.
Yeah, eventually.
So it's just one of these things. And I do laugh, but what's his name still got a job in Pittsburgh because they do that shit every year too. So let's be real. But it does sound like if hockey and basketball wrap up, it's a weekend where Lisa is going to make a list. So I'm asking for the hockey gods and NBA gods, do not let this end. Do not let this end. I don't want a list of things I got to do around the house. Please don't. But it's kind of a short episode. We did 101 today. Around the sports, we kind of gave you around the sports, gave you some NFL news and NBA and NHL. We will be back on Tuesday talking about round 3 as some of these series will be ending. Also, what happened with golf and things like that, if anything popular happened. But we'll be back on Tuesday. If you want more of us, like us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all those as we share posts. Also, go and vote. Tomorrow we will be posting the Mount Rushmore. Vote on who had the best Mount Rushmore of sports movies. But we want to thank everyone. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you on Tuesday.